Okay. Hello. I am David Meyer, recording my presentation on Steven Spielberg. On this start, I just wanted to start off with the meme we made in class, and it has a quote that I think defines his career as a whole. It says, "You shouldn't dream your film, you should make it." I think this applies to him very clearly. He is one of the greatest filmmakers and directors of all time, and my one of my personal favorites. Some background information. Uh, he's a director, writer, and producer of many films. He was born December 18th, 1946, which makes him 75 years old, and he's still making films as we speak. He was born in Ohio, and he has six children to date. His parents had a big influence on him. Their names were Arnold and Leah Spielberg. Arnold was a computer engineer, while Leah was a concert pianist. They both took him to the movies almost every weekend, and this got him into film and inspired him to make films of his own in the future. Actually, before they passed, they were the ones that inspired him to make the movie The Fablemans, which came out this year, which is about their direct influence on him as a person and how they got him into making films. So far, he has directed 36 feature films, and he's still working on many. He's received over 130 Oscar nominations and won over 30, one of the highest counts of all time for a director. His movies have made over $10 billion at the box office. Some of his well-known movies that have contributed to that are Jaws, Indiana Jones, and Jurassic Park. One of the first projects that he worked on was Duel in 1971. The budget for this film was under $500,000, but this was a big break for him. It was a television movie. This was the first thing that got him critical acclaim and got him noticed by producers and studios. And the people in the industry started to look at him as someone they can hire and trust. The inspiration for filmmaking is early in his career, he realized that film is power. He believed that this power was being wasted with people putting out poor stories with poor characters. He even said people have forgotten how to tell a story. He wanted to experiment with the new technology in film and be able to tell better stories with more complex characters. And this, his career began. Steven Spielberg has many techniques that he likes to use in his movies. A commonly used phrase that he uses is less and more. Less is more when he's shooting frame by frame. He likes to focus on the actor's facial features by focusing their face in the center of the shot. This gives the audience, this allows the audience to see the emotions in the character's eyes and really feel like they're there. Spielberg also uses color in interesting ways. An iconic scene from his movie Schindler's List in 1993. There's a little girl walking in a red coat amongst Jews during the liquidation of a ghetto. Spielberg in this scene desaturates every color except for the red coat. This red coat is meant to symbolize innocence, hope, and the red blood of the Jews since it is the Holocaust. This is just one way where he uses color in his films in very creative ways. The blockbuster. Many people call Jaws, his film from 1973, the first real blockbuster in film. This film had an extensive marketing campaign, but it did not give away any of the movie, which fans later are very thankful for. The film is the same way as the marketing campaign because it built up suspense without showing the shark. With this film, Spielberg proved his value not only behind the camera, but to the private sector as he turned the slowest grossing season into the most profitable, making a lot of money with this film. This film style of special effects, intricate set design, and a powerful score is said to be the inspiration for the Transformers franchise, which, as we know, is very big. Spielberg is one of the first people to popularize using CGI in the movies. CGI is computer generated imagery, which we now see in the Marvel movies, big blockbuster movies, for things that can't be done with practical effects. Early in his career, there was a big push for practical effects, such as the giant prosthetic shark they used in the film Jaws, which was his first big film. The trouble he had on this movie influenced his decision to move towards CGI. Basically, the giant shark broke and they had to make a second one, which cost a lot of money. And they were lucky that it became the first big blockbuster because they would have lost a lot of money on that. Spielberg was one of the first filmmakers to use CGI, starting in the 1993 film Jurassic Park, one of his most famous. The use of CGI is considered the first large budget film to produce seemingly real CGI in that time period. The method of special effects influenced how big budget movies were made. This directly influenced James Cameron's Avatar, which is the highest grossing movie of all time. His societal influence. Spielberg rode on the success of his films to create charities and businesses. He co-founded DreamWorks, which has put out movies such as How to Train Your Dragon, The Croods, Trolls, all those. The success of this business, and as well as Pixar being successful, took down Disney's monopoly on the animated films market. Spielberg is one of the few to influence the way films are made and who makes films and all that. Spielberg also popularized historical films, which had pretty much had been not obsolete at this point. Two movies that did this were Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan. Spielberg was praised for the realism he brought to these films. He was one of the first to show the aspects from both sides of the war. In conclusion, Spielberg's parents were the first people to get him into film, and they inspired him for the love of theater. They inspired him to create his movie The Fabelmans. He directed 36 feature films, was nominated for 131 Oscars, winning 34 of those. His 1971 movie Duel is what put him on the filmmaking map and got his first critical acclaim. Spielberg believed that film was power and saw this power being wasted on poor characters and stories. This inspired him to make complex characters and well-told stories. Spielberg goes by the phrase less is more when using techniques in his films. He often emphasizes color and important scenes. His movie Jaws is considered to be the first blockbuster movie and the inspiration for the Transformers films. In his film Jurassic Park, he became one of the first filmmakers to use CGI successfully on screen, inspiring James Cameron to use it in Avatar. He co-founded DreamWorks SKG, which was a big part in taking down the monopoly of Disney for animation. He's one of the greatest filmmakers of all time and has the success to prove it. He has inspired others for many years and will continue to be a revolutionary in the industry for years to come.